Rostering gems was a top priority for Omar Khan and his front office during this past offseason. The Pittsburgh Steelers entered 2025 with a Super Bowl or bust mentality, and every move made in free agency and the NFL draft reflected that urgency. Building a contender meant being aggressive, and Khan's group executed accordingly. They added veterans, secured needed depth, and walked away from the draft with young talent ready to push for roles. One of the lesser heralded, yet intriguing additions was safety Sebastian Castro, an undrafted rookie out of Iowa. He wasn't a household name entering camp, but his game left an impression on anyone paying close attention. Castro had a knack for being around the football, the kind of player who didn't just react, he anticipated. Those instincts are why he carved out a reputation in college, racking up 163 tackles, 14 tackles for loss, and 4 interceptions during his Hawkeyes career. That same ability carried over to the preseason, where Castro flashed enough to earn a spot on Pittsburgh's practice squad. For me, it was refreshing to see a player like him grind his way onto the radar. Every year, 1 or 2 undrafted guys stick, and Castro seemed like a candidate to eventually earn snaps on Sundays. He brought a certain juice to the field, an energy the Steelers have always valued in their defenders. Unfortunately, Pittsburgh won't be the team reaping those rewards. Earlier this week, the Tampa Bay Buccaneers scooped up Castro, signing him to their active roster. The Pittsburgh Steelers can afford to let Sebastian Castro walk. It's one of those small gut punches you feel during a long NFL season. Losing a player you scouted, developed, and saw promise in isn't easy, even if he wasn't penciled in for a starting role. Still, let's be honest, the Steelers are positioned to weather this loss. Safety depth, once a concern, has turned into a strength. Deshaun Elliott's return to health is already paying dividends. In just one game back, his presence was felt, his physicality and communication helped stabilize the secondary. Alongside him, Chuck Clark and Jabril Peppers have carved out important roles, giving Pittsburgh a trio of proven veterans to lean on as the season grinds forward. That doesn't mean I'm happy to see Castro go. I genuinely enjoyed watching his growth over the past few months, and I think he's more than just a practice squad body. He has the instincts, effort, and athleticism to make it in the NFL. Sometimes, all a player needs is the right opportunity, and Tampa Bay is willing to give him that chance sooner rather than later. From a personal standpoint, I can't help but root for him. Sure, I'd prefer those highlight plays in black and gold, but football has a funny way of writing its own stories. If Castro turns into a reliable piece for the Buccaneers, I won't be surprised. The kid can play, and I believe his best days are still ahead of him. As for the Steelers, they'll keep pressing forward. The roster is built to compete right now, and losing one undrafted gem won't derail their mission. But it's worth remembering, sometimes the players who slip through the cracks end up reminding you just how valuable every roster spot truly is. The Pittsburgh Steelers could bring quarterback Will Howard off injured reserve after missing the first 4 games with a broken bone in his throwing hand he suffered in training camp. The injury occurred on a freak snap exchange during an August practice, causing Howard to miss the entire preseason and the first 4 weeks of the season. However, with Skylar Thompson on injured reserve with a hamstring injury, it could be Howard's time to return as the third quarterback. Quarterbacks coach Tom Arth says that if Howard is slated to return, he looks great and is ready to come back at a moment's notice. Will Howard has handled the injury as a professional, just as we would expect him to. Really appreciative of our athletic training staff, our strength and conditioning staff. They've done a fantastic job working with Will, Arth said. I think he's in great shape right now. He's been in as good a shape as he's been since he's been a Pittsburgh Steeler. Howard, a former Ohio State star and Pennsylvania native, is in his first season with the Steelers after being drafted by Pittsburgh in the 6th round of the 2025 NFL Draft. He impressed in his limited time at training camp before the injury and was on track to win the QB3 job. However, 0 in-game reps for Howard is a splash of cold water on any thoughts about Howard. Moving on from Pat, Freiermuth might have seemed crazy at the start of the season, but it's not too outlandish now. The veteran tight end used to be the top player at his position for the Pittsburgh Steelers, but he has struggled to find a role on offense through the first 4 games. Perhaps the bye week will allow him to recover and find a groove once the team returns to play in Week 6. It has been a disappointing start to the campaign for Freiermuth, and it'll be tough for him to rebound with limited opportunities. Pittsburgh has a loaded group at the tight end position on the roster. Both Jonas Smith and Darnell Washington have played significant roles on offense. Freiermuth has seemed to take a back seat to those two this season, which is troublesome. Sending out the former star player of the Steelers would likely draw significant criticism from their fans. They love this player, and it would take a significant trade for them to accept this potential deal. General Manager Omar Khan remains in significant trade rumors as the deadline approaches. Freiermuth could be someone Khan considers moving if the right offer comes across his desk. Pittsburgh Steelers GM Omar Khan could trade Pat Freiermuth to boost his roster. Don't expect any imminent trade, as moving Freiermuth would shake up the locker room. They added Jonas Smith to the position this offseason, and he could help fill the pass-catching void. Offensive coordinator Arthur Smith appears more comfortable with Smith anyway. It's a rich talent pool of tight ends, and they could afford to lose one of those players to upgrade a weakness. No one expected Khan to trade Minkah Fitzpatrick this past offseason, but he did. He is willing to make whatever deal makes sense for the Steelers. Their roster could use some upgrades to varying positions this season. Those include safety, linebacker, offensive line, and wide receiver. While some of those needs are more urgent than others, Khan continues to search for solutions. Freiermuth is considered to be one of the better tight ends in the NFL, and Pittsburgh loves him. Parting ways would be difficult, but if it brought back a similarly talented player who could help address one of their weaknesses, it wouldn't sting as much. The times of hanging on to a player because the fans love him are over, and Khan must do his best roster management to help the Steelers win games. Ideally, the best outcome of trading Freiermuth would be landing a solid receiver to help DK Metcalf, or a safety who can finally replace Fitzpatrick. They have talented players to replace Freiermuth this season, and they don't seem prepared to use 3 tight ends at a time. Roles are starting to shrink, and that could force Khan into making some brutal decisions.